Okay, so you brought us some really important material today. We're diving into an article from You're Not Alone,
Hmm.
all about the mental well-being of teenagers.
That's right.
And our mission, like always, is to really pull out the core insights for everyone listening. We're focusing on their piece, the first signs, recognizing mental health challenges in teens.
Absolutely. And what jumps out immediately, is this core idea, early awareness and getting that support in place quickly. It can make such a huge difference for teens navigating these things. It's
Right.
really about catching those first, maybe quiet signs before they get louder.
That's such a good point. In the article, wow, it really starts with a stark fact. Over half of all mental health conditions actually start by age 14.
Uh-huh.
Think about that. Before they're even deep into high school, these things can be developing. It really highlights the urgency, doesn't it?
It really does. And if we zoom out just a bit, the article also notes that eventually something like 1 in 4 people will face a mental health challenge in their lifetime.
1 in 4. That's
Yeah.
huge.
It is. It touches so many of us. So when you layer on the fact that most of these conditions begin in those teen years, well, it just shows how crucial that early recognition piece is. It's not some niche issue. It's woven into so many lives.
And it's not just local, right? I mean, the World Health Organization has mentioned saying depression is the leading cause of illness and disability for adolescents globally.
Globally.
That's more than just a number. It paints a pretty sobering picture of the scale of this worldwide.
And what I think the article does really well is constantly bring it back to the individual. These aren't just statistics floating around.
Right.
These are actual teenagers dealing with real, often very quiet struggles. It reminds you there's a person, a family behind every single data point, someone needing support.
Okay, so let's get practical then. Let's talk about actually recognizing those first signs. Because, like the article points out, teens aren't always going to just spell it out for you, are they?
No, definitely not. That's a really key thing to remember. The signals, they're often more subtle changes in just their day-to-day behavior. We kind of need to become better observers.
Right, skilled observers. And the article lays out some key things to watch for. One is withdrawal, pulling back. Maybe you notice the teen just doesn't hang out with their friends like they used to, or they're not engaging with family, spending way more time alone, maybe isolating in their room.
That's a really common one. And it might not be this dramatic, sudden cutoff. It could be more of a gradual fade from people and activities they usually enjoy.
Yeah.
And tied to that, we should look for changes in their basic rhythms, sleep, appetite, even energy levels. Are they sleeping like all the time, almost like hiding?
Or the opposite, maybe. Can't sleep at all.
Exactly. Insomnia. Can't switch off. And eating habits, big changes either way, eating a lot more or a lot less. And their energy, they seem just completely wiped out all the time, even if they slept. Or maybe they're super agitated, restless.
And then there's school. A big sudden drop in how they're doing academically. Grades may be tanking, missing assignments, or just seeming totally disengaged in class.
Yeah, that's definitely a flag.
Makes you wonder what else is going on underneath.
Absolutely. I mean, school issues can come from lots of places, but a persistent drop that you can't easily explain that can often be linked to what's going on mentally. The article also mentions more irritability or anger outbursts or just a persistent kind of sadness.
Right. And we all know teens can be moody, but this is different, yeah.
Exactly. It's about a sustained shift. More intense negative feelings that seem kind of out of proportion, lasting longer than the usual teen ups and downs. It's the intensity, the duration.
And something that really lands, I think, is when a teen starts actually saying things that sound hopeless
Hmm.
or full of self-doubt. What's the point? Or I'm just not good enough, or nothing ever works out for me. Those kinds of statements need serious attention.
Definitely. And what's crucial, and the article really hammers this home, is that every teen is different. They'll show stress differently. But the key is looking for patterns
Patterns.
and persistence. Is it a cluster of these changes? Is it lasting over time? One bad day is normal, a consistent shift? That's when you need to lean in.
Okay, so we've covered spotting the signs. Let's shift to why. Why is catching these things early so important? The article really talks about the power of early support.
Yeah, and this is where the hope really lies, I think. Early support isn't just, fixing a small problem early. It's potentially changing the whole direction for that young person.
How so?
Well, it can stop things from getting much worse. It sets them on a healthier path for the long run, like fixing a tiny leak before it floods the whole place.
That's a great analogy. And the article gives solid reasons why it's so vital. It says early support seriously boosts the chances of teens staying in school, succeeding academically.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, if their mental health is better supported, they're just in a better place to learn and cope with school stress.
Exactly. And the positive effects spread out, right?
Mm.
Early support also helps them build and keep stronger, more stable relationships.
Ah, okay.
When a teen's struggling inside, it can cause friction, distance with friends, with family. Tackling those root issues helps them navigate relationships better, build healthier connections, they feel less alone.
And maybe the biggest point the article makes here is that intervening early can massively cut the risk of severe mental health crises later, or even stop long-term conditions from developing fully.
Yeah, that's huge.
That proactive step seems truly life-altering, preventing bigger problems down the road.
Precisely. It's about getting the right support, the right tools in place early so these challenges don't just sit there and grow into something much harder to manage. The main message is clear. Acting early really does lead to a better path forward.
So for everyone listening, parents, caregivers, teachers, anyone interacting with teens, what can you actually do? What are the practical steps for offering that support? The article gives some good, concrete advice here.
Yeah, it moves from just identifying the issue to, okay, what can we do? Which is really helpful. And one of the first things it highlights is just listening, really listening, without jumping in immediately to fix it.
That's harder than it sounds sometimes.
It really is. Our instinct is often to offer solutions, right? But just asking that simple, open question, how can I support you right now? That can be incredibly powerful. It shows you're there, ready to listen on their terms.
So just being that calm presence, letting them talk, might be the best first move, not necessarily having the answers.
Absolutely. Often what they need most right then is just to feel heard, understood, validated. The article also talks about normalizing asking for help.
Ah, yes. Reducing stigma.
Exactly. Making it clear that talking to a professional, a counselor, therapist, whoever, is a sign of strength. It shows self-awareness. It's not weakness, not something to hide. Getting that message across consistently can break down huge barriers.
That is such an important message, especially with the stigma that sadly still exists. And the article also mentions adults modeling healthy behavior.
Yeah, this is subtle but powerful. Teens watch us, even when we don't think they are.
Mm-hmm.
So when they see adults taking care of themselves, getting enough sleep, setting boundaries, doing things they enjoy, maybe even getting help when we're struggling, it sends this unspoken message. It shows them it's normal, it's essential, it models how to live healthily.
And the last point they make is about consistency, sticking with it.
Yes. Even when the teen pushes back or seems distant or maybe even rejects your offers of help at first. Just being there, steadily, consistently showing you care, that provides this deep sense of security.
It tells them, I'm here, no matter what.
Exactly. It's that stable anchor. It lets them know you're reliable even when their own world feels chaotic. Just keep showing up, being present, offering that reassurance, even if it feels like it's not sinking in right away.
Now, all this really valuable stuff we've been discussing comes from You're Not Alone, and they have resources available for anyone who needs them.
Yes, and it's crucial for listeners to know how to connect. They have a 247 support line. You can call anytime for help or just guidance. The number is 866-907-4580.
Good to have that handy. 866-907-4580.
Good to have that handy. 866-907-4580.
Got it. And social media.
Yep, they're active there too. Good way to stay connected. Their handle is @YourNotAlone. That's LONE_.
@YourNotZone. Okay, great. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, the main takeaway from the You're Not Alone article really comes back to that first point, doesn't it? Awareness. Just recognizing those early, sometimes subtle signs is the absolute first, most critical step in being able to support the teens around us.
Totally agree. And thinking about everything we've covered, how common these challenges are, the signs to look for, the huge benefit of early support, it kind of leads to a question for everyone listening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, considering all this, what's maybe one thing that stands out for you? One thing you might approach differently now when supporting the teens in your life?
That's a really good question to sit with. Making it personal. How does this apply to my world, my interactions? And like the article says, you don't need to be the expert or have all the solutions.
Right.
Sometimes just starting the conversation, just showing you care is the most important thing you could do.
Exactly right. That first step, reaching out, showing you're paying attention, that can genuinely make all the difference. And always remember that message from the organization. You're not alone. Help is out there.
Well, thank you for joining us on this really vital deep dive into teen mental health. Definitely check out the resources from You're Not Alone. This is such an important ongoing conversation. And just taking that step towards more awareness can really change things for a young person.